Now, I was watching this thing called Take Your Xanax, and apparently there's a huge crisis in society at the moment where we're all suffering from anxiety. There's this myth that we lead these terribly busy lives and that's stressing us all out. That is just a myth. If you actually watch the statistics, you'll see that on average people spend 4.5 hours a day in front of the television, the laptop or the computer screen or the phone watching entertainment. Now, that's an average. There are plenty of people who don't do that, so some people spend a huge amount of their lives just doing that, and it means they get home from work, turn on whatever box, sit there like lumps until it's time to go to bed, and that's their busy life. What it is people are living more and more inside their own heads. Now, on this film, which was pretty good actually, they had some very reputable clinical psychologists who were saying this, that it was actually that time spent inside your own head was causing the anxiety because you weren't up and doing, you were sitting and thinking about things. Now, I see this on the comments. I can tell immediately when somebody's never done anything before and they mention these worries that make no sense at all. Somebody posted, if you light a candle, it'll suck all the oxygen out of the room and you'll be dead. It's a candle, it's a room, and there's a lot of oxygen. If that were true, then all those people who sell tea light scent distributors and people at restaurants doing romantic meals really are guilty of heinous crimes. It's just a nonsense. But this guy was serious. He really was anxious about this. So he clearly sat and thought of what problems he could think of without thinking for a second that these contradicted his experience in life, anybody's experience in life. Anytime you've lit a candle, you have not dropped dead from asphyxiation. And I get that kind of thing all the time, where people worry about stuff which couldn't possibly happen. You get people saying things like, oh, if you look at a fire brick, you'll get cancer. If you look at it, nothing will happen. But they have no awareness because they've never dealt with it, they've never done it. And it's that doing. And one of the psychologists said, that's the whole trick. If you want to cope with your anxiety, it's actually about getting outside of your head. And what she said was getting lost in the doing, and I liked that. And she gave examples. It didn't matter what you did, going for a walk in the nature, flower arranging, learning to paint, doing some woodwork. It didn't matter as long as you were doing. And apparently what happens when you do is you get focused and lost in that doing. And all the other worries, it's a bit like when you're asleep. You tick them over in the back of your mind without knowing you're doing that, and you get resolution to it, and you come out of the doing feeling refreshed and better about yourself. Now, I've always said that you learn by doing, but it seems that by doing things, there's a much more benefit out there to be had from it in coping with anxiety. Another thing that another psychologist on the programme said, that the only thing to get over anxiety was to get through anxiety. You had to deal with it and build up those mental calluses, because of course in life there are things that are worrying and there are things that are dangerous. There are things you need to be able to cope with, and unless you've practiced like any other skill, you're never going to be able to cope with it. So of course Xanax was prescribed as it was meant to be a short-term measure. It was meant to be a few weeks or months. Now, people have been on this thing for years and they're suffering withdrawal symptoms, and it was never meant to be used like that, but we're using it like that as a short-term solution instead of getting up, doing something, being lost in the doing and finding those resolutions and building those calluses in order to help you cope with anxiety per se. Now, that all made tremendous sense to me because I'm a practical kind of guy. Doing is super important to me. It's how you learn, and it turns out it's also one of the best ways of coping with any anxiety you might have. So, the positive message. If you're actually suffering from these things, if you actually want to do something about life, if you want to learn a new skill, if you want to get over your anxieties, the answers, it would appear, they're actually pretty trivial and they're in front of you. You need to get up and do something. And it doesn't matter what it is you do, and I believe that too. It doesn't matter what it is that you do. One door opens onto other doors. You explore the world, you find things, you learn things, you find satisfaction in what it is that you're doing, and you're able to cope with your own anxieties And I see this in people as well when they do the posts. I know somebody who does that kind of thing just by reading the words they write. And I know somebody who doesn't do that kind of thing just by reading the words that they write. They portray themselves all the time. And if you want to be able to do things and get over those worries that you're going to suffer in the new year, the answer is find something, doesn't matter what, get up and do it, and you'll find satisfaction, you'll find ability to cope with your own anxieties, and you'll learn new skills all the time. Anyway, I hope the new year is full of expectation for you, and if you are considering these things and you do have those worries, think about it as an option for you to be able to explore, because to me it has a tremendous potential for positivity in our lives. Anyway, I hope you're having a great time. I hope you haven't eaten too much. If you have, go for a jog. Thank you very much for watching and enjoy the new year.